Any interesting or favorite memories with other recording artists or producers you had a chance to be around or work with you want to share with viewers today, looking back now at your career so far?
Interesting moments?
Yeah.
Okay, around artists or let's say producers or anyone, okay. I have plenty of interesting moments. See which one I choose to share. Okay, I give y'all two. I can't give y'all 2 minutes, but I give y'all two. First one I would say, my when I met Young Thug, that's one I would say. Free him and the whole YSL. But when I met him, it was, well, I bumped into him a few times, but the time I actually, we actually spoke, I think it was at, don't quote me, I think Darth or Dark Studios, something like that.
DARP?
DARP, yeah, that's DARP Studios, that's where it was at, and that's actually around the time he dropped Stoner. Yeah, Stoner. He dropped Stoner, and it was like I think it was like a listening party or something like that, and it was funny because it was just me. It was actually me and my cousin and him. Some of his people there. It was just we were the only ones at the studio when it first started. So, of course I knew of him, just from around the city, but I guess the reason why I say it's an interesting moment is because, you definitely see his videos, how he has all the energy, whatever. But when he was in the studio, he was just a very chill guy. Like, he was just very relaxed. Like, he was just in his zone. And I was like, I misjudged him. That's how I was thinking. I was like, I misjudged the guy. But later on, and I guess it's a moment I do regret, later on that night, definitely after, he played a couple of his records, we chopped it up about doing a record. And he was like, yeah, just stay after when everybody leaves and, we can knock something out. We'll do it. Woo. My dumb ass ended up leaving early. I was like, man, I'll catch you next time. Because sometimes you just, in the moment, you take things for granted. Like, oh, I'll catch you with you next time. We'll knock it out. We'll do it. Woo. But it was like, in this industry and in life, period, I learned you have to capitalize on the moment. Every opportunity doesn't come twice. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't take any moment for granted. Sometimes, family and friends are like, oh, you take things too serious, da-da-da-da. But I was like, I don't know how many opportunities in life I've missed just by thinking, oh, it'll come again, or, it'll always be that way, because who knows what can change, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's definitely an interesting moment. And, I was just like, time, of course, his career went through the roof, or whatever. And it was just like, at the end of the day, I was just like, you never know what opportunity you're passing up just by, postponing it. Don't procrastinate. That's the best advice I can give anyone, not just artists, anyone. Do not procrastinate. Another interesting moment. This is actually back in Nashville, and I've told a few people this story. It's actually the artist Jacquees. The reason why I say it's an interesting moment because it gave me a different perspective on artists, period. The reason why I say it's a different perspective is because, okay, of course he had a show, he was doing this thing, I was on stage or whatever, kind of like, I'm not saying backstage, but I wasn't performing, he was doing his own thing. And long story short, with him being an R&B artist, of course, ladies love R&B artists. If y'all didn't know that, ladies love R&B artists. So, I'm seeing all these girls going crazy, going crazy. So I'm like, of course, being from Nashville, I know most of them. Or if I don't know them, I know of them. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm curious to see which one, Jacquees pick or whatever. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, I see him on the front row. I'm like, I'm curious, like, what's his type, But long story short, by the time the show was over, I'm like, okay, here it goes, the tour bus outside, whatever. I'm like, okay, let's see which one goes. But long story short, I lie to you not. He walked past every single one and didn't bat an eye, man. And I'm looking, no disrespect to Nashville girls, not saying they weren't his type, but it was like he's so focused, you know what I'm saying? Like, he takes his craft so serious. Like, I was like, I didn't expect that one. I didn't see that one coming, you know what I'm saying? Because there was some very pretty girls in the crowd. So I'm like, man, he's like so focused. He probably had a show in the next city that he has to keep moving. But I was like, it kind of made me quite like reevaluate myself. I'm like, would you have been that strong if you was in that same position? You had all these pretty girls just, waiting to spend a little bit of time with you. You know what I'm saying? I was like, are you that strong, Kirk? And I'm like, and I'll be honest with you, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Kirk, you need to tighten up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to reach another level of this, it's going to cost you something. You got to sacrifice certain things. And that's what I had to learn. So I could definitely say that was an interesting moment for me.
Now, rewinding back to the previous moment with Young Thug, this cousin that you're mentioning, cousin on your mother's side or father's side?
The cousin I was with?
Yes.
My father's side.
And why did you, I don't know if you stated this, but why did you end up leaving? What was the exact reason?
Okay, my cousin, she was a female. I'm trying to think, was it her or me? I think a mixture between being tired. Okay, yeah, I had a long day that day, a very long day that day. I was tired, which is not an excuse not to work. But I was very tired. I think I was I know I was drinking and smoking at the time. And honestly, at that moment, I was very amped about doing the record. But as 30, 45 minutes, I was kind of saw the way things were going. I was like, it may be a couple more hours, you know. And it was like, yeah, I could have been patient, but at that moment, I was like, I'll catch him around town, you know. So we'll knock it out another time. But I think that's what it was. But it wasn't like it wasn't no emergency. That's why I was mad at myself, because it's like, it's not like, oh, you know, my mom with something, somebody got in a car accident. Nothing serious happened. It was just one of the things. Was like, I'm tired. I'm gonna catch y'all next time. You know, so it was one of them vibes.
Did you have his number? Did you collect someone's number?
And that's the funny thing. I didn't like it's like the streets, man. It's like in certain situations, like, yeah, you can exchange numbers with people, but when you out there and you active, it's like I've seen them many times. Like, we've crossed paths many times with this, you know, at that time it was Crucial or Club Blaze. You bump these people all the time, so it's like, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, I catch you when I catch you. It's a respect, and you salute and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, this is the industry. It's still a business. Like, I'm not. One thing about me, I don't like to fake relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you make music and I make music, it doesn't mean we're best friends now. You know, so I'm not gonna act like that's what it was. But it was definitely at the time of mutual respect. But yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
And did you ever end up seeing him again after that?
Yeah, I did. I think when I saw him after that, that was actually a few. That was actually before I, you know, went away for a little while. But I saw him. It was actually at Blaze. He was with Gucci at the time, Gucci Mane. Yeah, they were just cooling, you know what I'm saying, shooting pool and shit like that. But yeah, that's what, you know. It was just like, what's up, you know, kept it moving. You know, it wasn't really all that going on, because it was just a chill vibe. You know, that really wasn't the. It's not like, hey man, let's go to the studio. Right? It wasn't really one of them vibes. But yeah, that was the time. I think, was that the last time I saw him? I think so. I believe so. I believe that was the last time I saw him.
Did he remember you from the previous Stoner?
I'm not gonna say
event?
He did or didn't. I mean, he didn't let me know that he didn't. It was just more like a mutual respect.
And for clarification, when you say you were away for a while or a little bit, I forgot how you worded it, but what did you mean by that?
I actually did a little time. I did a year in jail. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't my first time in jail, but it's definitely the longest time I've ever spent in jail consecutively. Yeah, so that's what I meant when I said away. And actually, when I saw him in Gucci, it's funny because at that time I spoke to Thug, but then I was also, that was actually my first time actually having a conversation with Gucci at the time. But long story short, in my mind, I was in another place because I knew where I was about to go because of my charges and everything. I was really stressed, you know, smoking a lot at the time, and not saying music wasn't on my mind, but I was just like, I was stressed, man. I was going through a rough time in my life, a rough period in my life.